All right. This is the afternoon lecture, week 2, day 4 of Web Fundamentals. We're going to be going over the terminal. And if we have any time at the end, we're going to be going over how to use Git with the terminal, how to use the Git command lines with the terminal, if we have time at the end, but mostly going over information about the terminal. Okay, so if you go to your platform and you go to the section below Yellow Belt in JavaScript and you go to Terminal Basics, that's where you'll be finding most of the information that I will be going over in the lecture. Be starting here at Basic Commands. But before I do that, we'll go over a slide presentation to get us introduced into today's topic. Okay, so let's start the presentation. Okay, we're going to be going over the terminal. What is it and how it's used? Different command lines, and what is a GUI or a GUI? Okay, just for short, the terminal, what it looks like, it's this. Let me exit out of the slide now that I just entered. It's this thing, okay? This command line area where you can type in commands. We've been using the terminal a little bit when we are running our JavaScript code locally on our Visual Studio. When we click that run button, it runs the code and it shows us a version of the terminal. Or when we console log something and we inspect in our browser, that's another form of the terminal. But we also have one local in our computer, and it looks like this. So this is what we mean when we say the terminal. Okay. Before I go into the descriptions of the terminal, what we need to talk about is what a GUI or GUI is. Can anyone tell me what a GUI is?
Graphical user interface.
Graphical user interface. And what's a graphical user interface? Graphical user interface is a type of user interface that allows us to interact with electronic devices. Okay, so let's stop there. It's just an interface that allows us to interact with devices. So it could be a touch screen, or it could be, buttons that you click that shows you something different, like on a Kindle or something. So the way that the computer screen is shown to you, that's the interface. It could be the screen on a calculator that shows those, that always looks like an 8, and then you type in the number, it highlights those digits or the parts of the number that will form the number. Okay, GUIs were introduced as a response to the perceived difficulty of command line interfaces. They're now standard in computer interfaces all over in your smartphones, MP3 players, controllers, buttons, those are interfaces, okay? And when we build a web page, for example, we're building a type of interface, right? We're building a presentation, some sort of way of buttons and clicking. So I just wanted to go to this fun website here just to show some different interfaces from popular movies, different video games. I don't know most of these movies or games, but if we scroll through this website, we can see here the way the buttons are arranged on this screen, or the way this screen presents this data in this car, or the way the view from something like, what is this? Is this Dark Mirror? It's like when you put your glasses on and it shows you, what direction you need to go and how fast you're going. So these are different GUIs. These are futuristic ones, but they're different GUIs. And this is a fun site to explore. So we have our own GUI, right? We have one that we're looking at right now. Behind your Zoom video or something, there's your folders that you've been clicking and creating files in. That area in your computer is your GUI. Okay, so that area is your GUI. And before we worked on our GUI, we had a basic way of interacting with the files and folders on our computer, and it was through the terminal. Okay, it was through the terminal. It wasn't through a graphical user interface where you're clicking buttons to get you to the desired folder location. Okay, so let's continue on with our slide presentation. If I can figure out how to manage this. Okay, let's get started. Okay, so let's go over the basic definition of a terminal. It's a program that allows you to type commands and receive output. It's a text input output environment. Okay, the command line interface, or the CLI, is an essential part of coding no matter which programming language you're working with. Knowing how to use the terminal is important because it allows you to automate actions, script, and perform tasks that are typically faster than doing them in a graphical user interface. So if you can get really familiar with your terminal, you can work in your computer possibly faster than if you were just clicking around in your GUI. Okay, here's some uses of the terminal. When we're navigating through a file system, we can see the different files and folders at their location. We can create files and folders at those locations. We can run programs and scripts by typing the command in the terminal that will run the script or run the program. Like when we click the play button at the top right of our Visual Studio, if we have Code Runner installed and we're trying to run some JavaScript code, that's running the script to read the code to execute the commands. Okay, last, we can install or manage packages through our terminal. This is managing updates as well in different versions of software we may be using, libraries. They get updated, and the way we can update them is through the terminal. So lots more uses in addition to this. But here are some to name a few. Later on, you'll be testing your own code that you would have built, and the way you would run unit tests is through building or using the terminal. That's something way later on when you get into company somewhere. Okay, so let's learn about some of the commands our terminal can take. PWD, when we type in PWD, that means present working directory. If you type in CD, that means change directory, and then you can enter the file path location that you want to access. LS, if you type in LS, that's going to be for list. So list the files that are currently available, and clear, that will clear your terminal. Here are just a few terminal command lines that we'll be using throughout this lesson, but we'll go deeper into the command lines. I just want to introduce you to the concept. Oh, this one I didn't change the name there. And I think that's it. Oh, here, what I wanted to go over was the difference between PC versus a Mac terminal. There's a slight difference you'll notice, and the main difference between the Mac terminal and the Windows is that the Mac is Unix/Linux based. So that's a different type of interface that the terminal can use, slightly different command lines than Microsoft. But Microsoft is adapting theirs to have similar lines. Okay, so there may be a slight difference, and we'll go over that during the next part of our lecture here. So let's exit the slide.
Are those commands that you showed universal?
Yes, mostly. So you're on a Mac, right? So all these commands you'll be able to use. Now, if you're on a PC, it's important that you go to these previous slides, and you may want to install a different type of terminal. commander. Okay. Let's get on with the lesson. Let's stop and take a poll to see how well we're understanding the topic so far. Oh, never mind. I forgot. My poll thing isn't working. Okay, type a number in the chat. How about that? Type a number in the chat. How well we feel about the concept of a terminal so far. We're going to go over the commands in just a few, but just understanding what a terminal is, what its uses are generally. Okay. We're going to hopefully have some time to play a game together during this lecture. I'm thinking if I want to do that before or after doing the GitHub. I think we should do it before. Yeah. So we'll go over these commands and then we'll play a game together. And this game will help train us on using the commands. And it'll be a fun way to learn. Okay, so PWD. Let's type in PWD. This is going to tell me my present working directory. What does directory mean? Directory means folder. Present folder. Where am I in the folder file system? Let me show you something else while I dig that up. Okay. Never mind. Here we are. Okay, PWD. It's looking in my computer and it's seeing the users and then it's seeing me, my name here. And so it's telling me you are at this current location, at the users and then your name. You're in this folder location. So that's what PWD has done. It's shown me what my current folder location is when I initially open the terminal. So that's telling me my folder location. And let's see what type of files I have at this location. So I'm going to type in ls to list all the files at this location. Here I can enter my desktop, I can enter my documents folder, I have a downloads folder, my library, I have movies and music, some programs, and my applications folder. So this is all the stuff that I have at this present working directory, at this folder location. I can view that, all the available items, files, and folders by typing in ls. That's list files. Okay. Now, we can see these file names in their long form as well by typing ls-l. So now I'm going to list all my files in their long form. So that's telling me when it was created, what time it was created. I've only had this computer since 2020, so you can see here, folders are not going to exist before this time. So this is listing all the folders and files existing at this present working directory in their long form. So I don't want to see all this now. My view looks a little cluttered. So what I'm going to do to clear all of this is I'm going to type in the word clear. C-L-E-A-R, clear. If I press enter, it's disappeared. Everything's gone. Okay, let's continue. The next command we want to learn is we want to list all the files in their long form. ls-a. See, these are all the available files in their long form. Initially, when we listed the files, we didn't see some of these files. That's because some of these were hidden. Some of these were hidden. The way to see all of them is by typing ls-a. The ls-a command is to see all files. Linux flavored operating systems hide files that start with a dot. So see here, the files that start with the dot, those are the hidden ones. When you type in ls-a, you are showing all the files, including the hidden ones. Okay, so let's give some feedback in the chat, please, if you would, how well we're understanding how to see the present working directory and how to list all the files and folders available at that location. Long form, hidden files, and in their short form. Okay, nice. I'm seeing good numbers here. Okay, so that's seeing all the files, even the hidden ones. Let's continue. Now we're going to be able to change our location in our terminal as well. We want to be able to change. So the way we can do that is by saying cd, which means change directory. So let's clear this. I'm going to type in clear. And I'm going to say ls. I want to enter my desktop. I want to enter my desktop from here. From my desktop, I have a lot of important folders that I use, usually the ones I need to see right away. So I want to enter my desktop from my terminal and access those folders or files. So what I need to do is type in cd, then the name of the location or the folder location that I want to enter. So I'll type in cd space desktop. And if I type it in correctly, and I press enter, now I'm at the desktop location. Now I'm in my desktop. So if I type in ls here, I should see a different list of files and folders available. And here in my desktop, you see I have a messy desktop, but I have these different demos. I have screenshots, different folders for different days. I need to clean up a little bit, but you see here the point. I'm at a different location, and when I type in ls at that location, you can see the folders and files here. I can enter a folder that I would create at this location, but I want to go back now. I want to go back to my previous location. The way I would go back to my previous location, the way to go up a folder level, go back up a folder level, is by typing in cd space ... cd space ... If you do this, you'll go back up a folder level. Now, if I type in ls again, you'll see I'm back at the level where I can see my desktop, I can see my documents, I can see my downloads folder. So cd, change directory, and then the folder level that I want to access. So in this case, desktop, cd, whoops, I didn't type in desktop. And if I type in enough letters to match the name of the folder location, and there's only one to match it, I don't even have to type in the whole world, the whole word. I can just type in a few letters, press tab, and it'll know which folder location I'm trying to access. And then I can press enter from here, and it'll enter that location. So cd ... to go up one, then cd, and then the name of the folder location to enter that folder location. So I'll go back to my desktop. Let's clear it. ls, where am I? Okay, I'm at my starting point. How do I enter my desktop? cd desktop. Enter. Now I'm here. let's see what's in my desktop. If I type in ls, all this junk, right? Okay, so I'm gonna go back, cd dot dot. So I went back up a level. Let's check it again, ls. Okay, I am back at my original position. All right, so let's type in the chat how well we're understanding how to enter a folder location and how to exit, go up a level in the folder path location. We're going to play a game with these commands at the end here. So get ready for some action. Hardcore. No, it's not that exciting. Okay, so let's take a quick detour and learn a few more tricks. If I type in the up arrow when my cursor is ready to type, if I type in the up arrow, it'll remember my last command. It'll remember the command before that as well if I keep pressing the up arrow. If I keep pressing, it'll tell me my whole history of different commands that I've entered. So here's another way to be an even lazier coder. If you want to CD into the desktop again, I can press up arrow, CD desktop. It's already typed in for me. So now I press enter and I'm there. I can press the up arrow again, somewhere in my history, CD dot dot is there. And I can press enter and there I am back at my original location. Here's another trick. I can grab a folder. I can say CD, and I have a folder path location. I'm looking at my desktop right now. I'm not sharing my desktop, but imagine my desktop is another screen right next to the screen you're seeing. I'm going to drag a folder from that screen into my terminal here. So all I am doing is dragging a folder into my terminal after I've typed in CD and then allowed a space here. So I'm going to grab a folder called media queries. Okay, I'm dragging this folder here. Do you guys see my folder that I'm dragging in? Can you guys nod so I know that you guys see that? Okay, cool. So I'm dragging in this folder here after I type in CD, and it will take me to this location now if I press enter. Okay, now I'm at my specific folder location if I drag in that folder into the command prompt. So this is an easy way to get to a specific folder location. You can type in CD and then drag in that folder and you can get to that folder location. That can save you the headache of going there manually, typing it in. If you can pull it up on your Explorer, drag in that folder location, you can get there even easier. Okay, all right. So I don't want to be in here. I want to CD out of here. Back at my original location. I just cleared the terminal and let's continue with the lesson. Okay, changing the root directory. This command will change to the root directory of your computer. From this folder, you can access your application folder. So if I type in CD/ and type in ls, I go to my root directory. So no matter how far I go in, I can say CD users, and then ls CD, then my name, tab, enter, ls CD desktop, tab, enter. Now I'm here. Okay, I'm all the way deep into my desktop now, but I want to go back to the root. I want to go back to my starting point. All I have to type is CD/ / enter. Now I'm back at the root. So if I type in ls, there I am. Okay, so that's how you go back to the root directory. You can also type in the location of your specific file path location if you know it. You don't always have to drag it in from a folder icon. That's not necessary always. So I can say, let's go back to my desktop without typing in as many commands and entering. So I can say cd users, and I know in this file path location, I want to enter my username. So I can say Josh, and I can tab, and it'll already read where I'm trying to go. And from here, I can say I want to go into my desktop. If I know the exact file location from this location path, I can type enter and it'll go there. If I type in ls, you see I've entered into my desktop again. All right, so let's take well, not a survey, but tell me in the chat 1 through 10 how well we feel about changing to the root directory and changing by the folder name. Changing by the root directory and changing by the folder name. Cool. All right, we're doing good. Okay. Now we also want to be able to make a new folder. We want to be able to make a new folder. All right, so I'm in my desktop. I want to be able to make a new folder. Let's create a folder in my desktop called terminal folder. Okay, that's what I'm going to call it, terminal folder. The way I would do that is by typing in this command here. Make dir, and then the name of the folder that I want to create. Okay, so I'm in my desktop. I'm going to say mkdir, that's for make directory, space, and then the name of the folder that I want to create. So the name of the folder, I said it was going to be terminal example. Now if I ls to see the list of my directories, there is the one I created, terminal example. So now if I want to enter it, I can cd terminal, I can type in ter because that's the only one that starts with ter, tab, enter, and I can now enter my folder. So if I ls here, there's nothing in here to show because it's an empty folder. I just created it. So that's how you make a folder, mk, and then the name of the folder. And you can also delete a directory. Okay, so let's clear the terminal. Let's see where we are. I'm in terminal example. Let's get out of here. cd ... Let's see what's in here. Okay. All right, so here's my terminal example folder. I want to remove it. So what I'll type in is rmdir. That's remove directory, and then the name of the folder. So now, if I ls, I should not see this folder name there because I should have removed it. And it's gone. So I have successfully removed the terminal folder, terminal example folder. So that's how you remove a folder, rmdir, and then the name of folder there. Okay. This is how you remove a non-empty folder. A non-empty folder. So let's create a folder with something in it. The way we create a folder with something in it is by using the word touch. Touch. That's how you create a new file. So I'm going to create a new folder. So how do I create a new folder? Can someone tell me?
MKDIR.
Yes, and I'm going to say terminal example, the name of our old folder there that we already deleted once. And I'm going to go into there. Sorry, so I'm here, it's empty. Now let's create a index.html and style.css file in this folder. So what I'll say is touch space index.html. Enter. Let's type in ls to see that it's there. And there it is. It's pointing to it right here. So I've successfully created my index.html. Let's create the next one. I'm going to say touch style.css. So if I ls now, there are my two files right there. Okay, so here are my two files that I would have created. Well, I did create them. And so I want to now go back up a level. If I type in ls, there's my folder. We know it has some files inside. So if I say rmdir terminal example, if I try to remove this folder now, it will give me an error. Do you see that error there? It says rmdir terminal example directory not empty. So it's telling me this folder is not empty, the one you're trying to delete. So you cannot delete it. So the way to delete a non-empty folder is by typing in this command. rm-rf and then the name of the directory. Terminal example. So now I'm going to forcefully remove it. If I type in ls now, it's gone. So my terminal example now is gone. Okay, now some time for feedback. Let me know how well you understood how to create a folder, how to remove one, how to create a file, and how to remove a non-empty folder. How well do we understand how to create a folder, create a file, remove a folder, and remove a non-empty folder?
Josh,
Yes.
just a 2 cents. Just to be careful with that, because when you delete files via the GUI, you can always undo it because it goes to your recycle bin. But when you use this, especially force remove, you're never getting it ever again. So just be careful with that.
That's a good note. Thank you, Mark, for mentioning that. Did anyone not catch that? So if you delete it via your GUI, that is with your mouse clicking on the folder icon and deleting it that way, you'll see it in your trash. But if you delete it this way, you won't see it. So it's gone. There's also a way that you can remove a file. Okay, so let's create a file. I'm going to create a folder, mkdir. We said terminal example. cd. If I go in here now and say touch index.html, there's my file. And if I want to remove it, I can say rm index.html. So if I say ls now, it's completely gone. That's how you remove a file. Okay, you can also rename a file and move a file. Let's look at how we can rename a file. So let's create one. Touch index.html. If I say ls, there's my index.html. And we are going to say mv index.html, and we're going to rename it. New name dot HTML. We're going to just call it new name.html. So if I type in ls now, the file has been renamed to new name, new name.html. Okay. It has two uses. The first use was the first example I just gave you. And the second example that I'll give you, I'm going to move it up one folder level with the same name. So let's look at this command line here. I'm going to say mv and then the new name. I'm going to take this one and I'm going to say ... That means go up a folder level. And then if I type in the name again, new name.html, I have successfully moved the file there. So I have to go up a folder level, cd ... I'm at my desktop. If I type in ls here, and I look at my available files and folders, there's my HTML file, new name.html. I moved it up a folder level by using mv. And there's a way that you can copy a file as well. Okay, so let's try to move our new name.html back. So mv new name.html to, let's see, how do we go forward a level? We want to say /terminal example. New name.html. Wait. I messed it up. Okay. What I want to do is copy a file. So this file here, we'll just work on copying a file first. This file here, new name.html, let's copy it. Let's copy it. So I'm going to say cp new name.html. And I want to copy it to a file called new name copy.html. So I'm taking that new name.html and I'm going to copy it. I'm going to copy this file with the new name, and that new name is called new name copy. So if I press enter and I type in ls, there are the two files, new name.html, and there's the copy I made. Okay. Copying a directory. If you want to copy a directory, that is a folder. Here's a folder, terminal example. So if I want to copy this one, I can say cp-rf and then the name of the folder, terminal example, and then the name of the copy folder. I'll call this one terminal example copy. If I type in ls now, there's my copy folder. Okay, let's get some feedback in the chat, how well we're understanding how to move a folder, how to copy a folder, and how to copy a file. Move a folder, move a file, copy a folder. Okay, what's left? Open dot. Opening a current directory in your GUI. So I can open terminal example. I can go cd terminal example. Now I'm in this folder. And if I say open and then space dot, open space dot, you will open the Finder at this location. You'll open the Finder at this location. I've also set it up so that I can say code space dot, and I will open Visual Studio Code at this location. So there's my folder path location. You can set this up for yourself as well, if it's not already there by default. All right, last note. When you get to the point in future stacks where you are deploying your website, you will have to do it on a foreign server, on an Amazon server, most likely. You're going to host your website on an Amazon server so people can view it when they type in the correct HTTP request. And in order to deploy it, or at least not exactly just a website, but an app, a heavier app, when you are deploying it, you're going to be working on an Amazon computer from your computer. And you'll need to work on that Amazon computer through your computer using the terminal. And when you type in terminal command lines that way, you're going to have to use the keyword sudo, which means super user. So the only difference when you're using the terminal when you are deploying an app is that when you're working on that virtual machine on the cloud, you're going to be using sudo. This is not necessary to put into practice yet. We won't need to use this yet, but it's there. Okay. Lastly, I promised you guys there was going to be a fun game. We have a little bit of time left. We can play with this for about, I don't know. We'll see how long it lasts. And then we will detour into using the terminal to deploy a GitHub project onto GitHub. There's a way to use it using terminal. We learned it using the buttons in Visual Studio Code, the source control button, and committing through there. But there's a way to commit your code just using the terminal command lines. Okay, so we'll go over that. Let's first look into this game. What is this game about that I was talking about? It's called Terminus. And I haven't played it much, but we have to enter the command lines in order to continue correctly. Okay, so it's just like if we were going through a folder file system, but they made a game out of it. Okay, so I want your guys' participation so we can get through this game quickly so it's not such a bore. Let's have fun with this, okay? So it's just like the commands we just learned. So what do we want to do? Well, it gives us a hint. What we want to do is find where we are. So we want to say present working directory. Okay, and it shows us a little picture and it tells us here. Can you guys see the text? Is it too small? Do I have to zoom in? Because if I zoom in, I think the image is going to get distorted.
Oh, it's good.
Oh, there we are. Okay. Okay, so you are home. So let's continue from here. Someone tell me in the chat or tell me out loud what I should do to continue. It's a little bit of a story. It says, look at your surroundings. Does it give us a story? No, it doesn't. Okay, we're just gonna have to work with this. So leave home, log in and 10 coding dojo. You go into your home and go into, wow. All right. How about I type in LS? I'm going to type in LS to see what's available. So it says here's locations that I can enter. Imagine these are folder file path locations. Okay. So these are locations I can enter. So how would I enter? And what's the locations that I want to access? So how do we go about this? Do we do like a vote system? Whatever I see the most in the chat. Welcome letter, open welcome letter. Okay. Let's go to welcome letter. So what do I need to do? Do I say CD welcome letter? Remove, just remove everything. CD, what if I say CD welcome letter? Welcome letter. Okay, I cannot go in there. It's not a room.
Who the Western Front or Forest?
Okay. CD Western Forest. So if I go there, CD Western Forest, you have moved to the Western Forest. You enter, travel deep into the forest. Eventually, the path leads to a clearing with a large, impressive building. A sign reads on it, Spellcasting Academy, the elite school of magic. Okay. So I'll say PWD here. You are in the Western Forest. Okay, so there's a magic tower there. We see it. Let's continue. So LS, cast fireball. LS, and there's locations I can go to. The Spellcasting Academy. I can go up a folder level, go somewhere else. Should I continue here? Should I go forward? What's your guys' vote?
Well, we need to figure out how to cast that fireball.
Well, I don't. Okay, so you want to go forward? Go forward. CD.
Spellcasting Academy.
Yeah, CD Spellcasting Academy. You have moved to the academy. The halls are filled with hustle and bustle of academy students scurrying from classes. The inside of the academy is impressive, and the outside, they're outside with high ceilings and Gothic arches. It seems to have even larger on the inside. Okay, so if I say LS here, there is the practice room. Should I go there? That's where we got to learn the fireball, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so CD, I have to say CD. But how do I access the items? That's another thing. It says at the beginning. It has to be one of those commands that we initially learned. It's got to be an easy one. I can't see. Oh, CD lessons. CD lessons. You have moved to lessons where you enter the hall ready and eager. It's much quieter here than many of the lessons have already started. You quickly ushered into the introductory lesson, which already began. You enter the class with the on the move spell. Okay, so LS here. There's no, I can't go any further. So what do I do? MK Dur.
Just delete them.
I don't know what to do.
I mean, there's got to be a way to access this item, right?
Do I see? CD ... Get out of here. I don't know how to access the items in the CD items. I can't CD items. There's no room called items. So it needs a specific command for the items.
I think the command was less, LESS.
Yeah, it says interact with things in the world with the command less item, capital ITEM.
Okay, so I have to say professor. The professor is difficult to understand, but you pick up just enough to learn 3 things. You can use MV to move things in the world. You have to indicate the object in the new location. Okay. The spell will only work on certain objects. For example, the practice dummy objects in the practice room. Okay, so LS, Do I have to go to the practice room? I thought I was already here. Okay, well, you guys can play this on your own. I've got your appetite whet, I'm sure. Okay, so I've made it this far. You guys continue on the game from here. Tell me how it ends. I've never got past this point. Okay, so learn the fireball. Come to class tomorrow, wizard. Let's learn how to push to GitHub using the terminal. Okay, so there is some steps we can take. So let's go to GitHub. I'm going to create a new directory. So I'm going to click that plus button. New repository, I said directory. New repository. And I have to give my repository a name. I'm going to give this one a name of terminal example. Okay, so I'm going to call a repository terminal example. That's what I'm going to be pushing to GitHub, terminal example. All right, so create repository. And here it gives me a list of steps that I need to take in order to push it successfully to GitHub. So I can follow these steps here. If I clear here, clear, let's go to a place where we can work. So we need to go to that file path location, and I'm already here in terminal example. So I'm going to work from here because I'm already in the folder location. So you want to be in the folder location that you are going to push from. And the first thing you want to do is the first line that it says. Ignore the echo. And you want to write git init. So git init. All right, so that's been done successfully. We want to ignore git add readme. That's unnecessary. That's just add a file called readme that's going to describe your app. So we don't need to do that yet. All we want to do is push. So let's go to the next command line. It says git commit -m and then first commit. We know this, right? So this is the step when we commit. So let's type that in the terminal. Excuse me. Let's type that in the terminal. Git commit -m first commit. Enter. Initial commit, nothing to commit, right? It was pretty much empty when I checked. So let me make sure that, let's see what's in here. ls. Let's touch something. Let's say touch index.html. So this is what we're going to push. Let's run that last command again. Git commit, first commit. It says right here, untracked files, use git add file. So let's add that file, git add index.html, or you can say git add dot. That means add all. So I already committed before I had created this file, so I need to add this file now. So I can say git add dot to add all, or the specific file name. In this case, I'll just write the specific file name. Now I'll go up in my history. Now type git commit -m first commit. Okay, so now I've committed successfully. Need to go on to the next step. I need to add the origin. That is the place where this will exist. This is the link location of this terminal, of this repository. Sorry, not terminal, thinking terminal. Of this repository. We want to push our folders to this repository name. When we had it set up through Visual Studio Code, it already knew that location. We don't need to, we didn't need to enter it, but now we need to know it. So if we type enter, we've finished this step. And the next one is the last one. Git push -u origin main. I'm getting tongue-tied here at the end of the lecture. Sorry, guys. All right, it didn't work. What happened? Error, ref spec main does not match any. Okay, let's see what we need to do. Oh, okay. So I think we need to follow this one, git branch -m. Let's go through this one. And lastly, let's follow the last command. Git push -u origin main. And we have an error, typical. Okay, what's going on here? Well, we can learn through errors as well. The requested URL returned error 403. What does that mean? If I refresh this, is it already done? No. Okay. Let's try it again. I think, oh, I know what it is. I'm in the wrong GitHub account. Sorry about that, guys. I'm logged into the wrong GitHub account, so everything got messed up. Let me restart that process, log into the right one. I have two here. And if you try, this is a good learning lesson. If you make more than one GitHub account and you try to manage both of them on the same machine, it's going to be a pain, especially if you set up security for it, the two-factor authentication. All right, so now I'm back into what I should have been logged into originally. Let's go through this process again. Sorry for that. All right, reset button. Here we are again. Okay, so I'm going to create a new repository. Let's call it the same name, terminal example. Okay, now let's create it. It's created. Now I need to follow these steps. Let's pull up my terminal. Here I am. It's ls. Let's go to my desktop, ls again. And I'm going to use the terminal example copy this time. Okay, so I'm going to cd into there, terminal example copy. I'm going to create a file in here, touchindex.html. Okay, so now I'm in my copy folder. I'm going to push this to GitHub. Let's follow these steps now. Is everyone with me? Sorry about that if I created any confusion. I tried to push the first time, but I was logged into the wrong account. So everything just halted to a massive error. So to avoid that, I went back to the original account I should have been logged into. And now I'm in the folder. I've created the file before I push. Let's go through the process again. Git init. This starts it. Okay. I initialize the process. And I now if I type in, what was that command line? Let's see here. It was in basic commands. Here's the one I want to show you guys. ls-a. ls-a. This is not part of pushing, but this is going to show all the files. And you can see here the hidden file, .git. When you initialize in the folder that you're about to push, it creates this hidden file, .git. So ls-a. That shows us all the files. Remember, even all the hidden files. So you can see here .git. So that's how you know it's been initialized. It's connected. Okay. When a folder has this .git folder, that means you've started the process to push from this file location or folder location. All right, so let's continue. We did git init. Let's go back to GitHub. Where's GitHub? Here we are. Okay, git init, step 1. See if I can mark it. Step 1. Step 2 is going to be right here. So we want to say git commit, and then the message we want to commit. We want to say git commit -m, and the first time we commit, we say first commit. Okay, here I am. Enter. Oh, this file has not been added. Okay, so git add index.html. Okay. So now I made my commit. My file has been added. This process does not tell you to add git add all or git add the file name. So be sure to include that in your process if you ever need to push using git. So git add all before git commit. Okay, this is an extra one that this documentation doesn't tell you before you get to commit. Git add all adds all the files, and then you commit them. Okay, so that's like the secret one that it fails to tell you to do. So git add all, then commit, and then git branch -m main. There we go. So we're almost done now. Copy this. It adds a branch. So the way Git works is like a tree. Every commit or push can be added to, you have to determine what branch you're going to add it to. And then later on, the project manager can merge the branches or have different versions of the same app. But here we're saying what branch we want our commit to be on. And now we're adding the link to push it to this location. So we'll paste it, enter, and then the last step, git push -u origin main. Paste it in here, enter, and now it's done. So if I refresh this page, there's my file. All right, it's empty, but there it is. Okay. I know this was a little bit of information here, but can you guys give me some feedback how well we understood this one, how to push using those steps? The only step that they didn't mention was the git add all. I had to show you guys at what point in the process you had to add that. For now, just keep committing through Visual Studio Code. There, you know, I've run into some really savvy young coders that are able to do so many things on the computer, so many things in coding, but they haven't used the terminal. And it's like, whoa, okay. You make me feel experienced when it's like, I can use this, but it's not really hard to use at all, as you guys can see. It just takes some getting used to, just seeing text instead of icons. And pushing to git, well, you learn the commands over time. It's like learning 3 or 4 different commands. And then once you know the order, it can be even easier than pushing through Visual Studio where we click all those buttons. They're honestly both the same level once you know the commands by heart. Okay, so same level of difficulty. I liked the way to push to GitHub using the terminal before, but since I started teaching and started using this method on Visual Studio, I started to like this more. Really up to you how you use it. There's a lot more commands than the ones that I entered for using GitHub. There's a lot of different commands and versatility that you can do using this. I'm sure you can use do the same different things using Visual Studio. And there's also a GitHub app that you can download that does a whole bunch of things as well. So there's so many different ways to use GitHub. Now that you've seen the second way, using terminal, you can also download the GitHub app if you'd like. Okay, and that ends today's lecture. So thank you everyone for sticking through and participating as we did. Yes, thank you again. So for the rest of the day, you have your optional and practice assignments that you guys should work on. There's also Bootstrap and media queries that we're going to go over tomorrow. I highly suggest that you do some reading on Bootstrap so that you come with questions for tomorrow's lecture. And again, it's going to be with Narciso, so that should be a good change of pace, different voice, different face. Let's learn Bootstrap from Narciso. And then in the afternoon, we'll learn what media queries are and how we can use media queries to make a dynamic web page that adjusts to whatever device that we're working on. Okay, so now we can make dynamic web pages, not just static images. And we'll go over how to do that. Okay, so again, that ends today. Thank you guys very much. I'll stop the lecture and recording if you guys don't have any questions. Do we have any questions? Nope, we're good. Okay, let's go ahead and close this out.